Hello one and all, welcome back to ArcheAge Inspiration. My name is Cilantro. Let's take a look at today's rolls, which are 4, 7, and 10. That will make us, let's see here, Sorcery. Oromancy is 7, and Vitalism is 10, which turns us into a Boneweaver. Cool. See what we got. Alright, here's what we got for the Boneweaver. I'm going to fly over here and try to track down some giants that are away for some other people. I actually had a chance to use this ability in Hassla earlier. I was hanging out with my buddies. I didn't have everything set up to record, so I couldn't get any actual footage of it, but you'll just have to take my word on it that this build does okay. It's not too bad in group PvP. Like a lot of the other builds that I've come up with, it's, you know, contingent on having other people around you to make sure that you're not going to get swarmed and all that, because this build in particular by itself doesn't have a ton of CC, not a lot of innate evasion or anything, but it does have some really cool tips, really cool tricks rather, that you can use to work out pretty well. So decided to focus on mobility and by means of instant casting spells. And so the way that I achieve this is through a number of different ways. First of all, actual mobility. We have teleportation. I'm very much on the fence as to whether or not you should grab Comet's Boon. I think it's pretty good for the extra mobility, especially for a group. But unfortunately, I couldn't quite fit it in here. Thwart plus Hearten gives you a reduced global cooldown, which helps a lot to spam spells on a much more quick basis. Leech, of course, is Asleep, one of your few hard crowd control elements you actually have. In fact, I think it's pretty much the only one. Oh, no, you have Skewer as well. And then, yeah, Conversion Shield, of course, for its damage mitigation for magic damage, but also to make the cast time of Antithesis go away. So more on that here in just a minute. One thing I did not grab is Shrug It Off. Again, just kind of a lack of points. Didn't really quite fit the theme of what I've been going for specifically with that. So out of Vitalism, we pick up Twilight. Twilight gives us a stealth ability. So, you know, in a group, we can kind of hide people, you know, hide our true numbers, almost like walking single file. Resurgence is taken mostly just to be able to heal yourself, to trigger quick recovery, which triggers Antithesis. You can actually switch over to a few heals. Like, for example, you could switch Twilight out for Fervent Healing, and you could serve perfectly well as a backup healer. Put on a healing club or healing staff, toss out a couple emergency heals as needed, and be more than capable of supporting your party like that. I just chose not to do that for this particular thing. Yeah, so quick recovery. Anytime you're healing yourself, you have a chance to reduce all Vitalism, reset all cooldowns on Vitalism abilities, including Antithesis, which in this case is used offensively. And then Alms combined with Mana Flurry gives us a good boost to our cast time. Most of our abilities that we're really going to be using don't have a cast time, but the ones that we do, we want to have that cast time eliminated as much as we can for very specific reasons, which I'll talk about here again in a second. Chain Lightning is taken here. You could also take Meteor Strike. Both of these work quite well for this build, even though, again, it's entitled, or it's wanted to be on mobility. The nice thing about Meteor Strike is it has some really nice range, so if you're kind of jockeying back and forth for position against an enemy group, you can use Meteor Strike to potentially initiate the fight, following it up with a Skewer, which is a little bit less range, but the Skewer can be used as another AoE crowd control. If you have a proper initiator in your group, you know, somebody who's going to go in, use Vicious Implosion or something like that, then these two follow-up spells can do a lot of work for sure. As far as the buffs go, you will occasionally be standing still to cast a few of your damage spells, so Magic Circle is pretty much an auto-inclusion. Insulating Lens, of course, is a fantastic buff. You could also, of course, grab Liberation if you want for immunity to Shackle and Silence. I would recommend it if you can manage to fit it in, but otherwise, you know, not super critical. Magic Precision, because critical hits will do a lot more damage, and of course the extra range for sorcery skills. Now, one of the interesting things is that the Vitalism attack spell here, and this one, even Skewer and Antithesis, both have a 25-meter range. So if you take magic range boost in sorcery, that makes all of your offensive spells have a 25-meter range, meaning that you actually have a really far distance to be able to do most of your attacks. And again, if you could manage to combo this with Comet's Boon, you could increase your mobility even further. We take Freezing Earth here to inhibit other enemies and their movement speed, as well as to give us more AoE options. So if we were to, for example, use Skewer, Meteor, Freezing Earth, that's quite a large amount of AoE damage. But it's largely because this is an instant cast ability that we take this. Freezing Arrow, not normally instant cast, but if you're waiting for a fight to happen, you can use Frigid Tracks to give it an instant cast, and it also makes it so that while you are moving around very quickly, anybody who tries to give chase will get frozen, making it harder to track you down. And then, of course, Arc Lightning. Yeah, between Arc Lightning and Chain Lightning, we have a good boost of damage. In fact, we have a pretty good amount of synergy here. If you Chain Lightning a target to make it get the Electric Shock buff, and then skewer them to impale, you can then follow up with an Arc Lightning, and you just barely have enough cast time to be able to get both combos, resulting in a 88% damage boost. So quite a lot of damage for sure, especially if you are under the guise of a magic circle. So pretty powerful stuff. Just to show you guys a few of the things that happen here. In fact, I'll just go ahead and show that off. Let's buff ourselves up with Insulating Lens, drop a magic circle, and I'm just going to zap, and just because I'm going to impale, and then I'm going to follow up right with the Arc Lightning and just barely have enough time. And of course, naturally, since I'm recording a video, I miss, so there's that. But anyway, if I were to pop Conversion Shield, not only does that make me more defensive against enemy spells, but I can now use Antithesis as a mobile offensive capability, which is very nice. Go ahead and do some comboing here. You can see I have Deep Freeze and all that kind of stuff, keeping the target frozen for quite some time, actually, if need be. I believe that the duration is significantly shorter in PvP, but certainly an option to have if you are in a fight. Absolutely. So let's go ahead and just finish this guy off. This build is very mana intensive as well, leading me to believe that it would be possible to grab Meditate. As the level cap increases, you could potentially switch things around, maybe getting rid of Mana Flurry, Magic Precision, and Alms in favor of the 10-point passive for Auramancy, allowing you to teleport more often, and also Mirror Warp, which is the level 55 ability, giving you a even larger pool of mobility options. The things that you actually have to have cast time for, so for example, Frigid Tracks and Arc Lightning, these are much easier to get the cast times off on if you have the ability to, say, blink away from the fight a great distance before having to recast. So let me head up here and see if I can actually get these combos to hit for once, since I am almost cursed that every time I try to record something, it's like, oh, you just wanted to hit with your spells? Well, too bad. That's just not even going to happen. So let's try this again. We're going to zap with that. We're going to cast our Impale. And this time we're going to hit, and we'll get a big boost of damage there. Yeah, 8,529 damage non-crit with that, which is pretty nice here. And like I said, if I get Frigid Tracks, I now have both Freezing Arrow and Antithesis as instant cast options. So quite a lovely bevy of options. Granted, it's a limited amount of time that you have these available to you, so you will be having to stand still and do some cast times as well, which is why I have chosen to grab Alms and Mana Flurry. And of course, if you have a Songcraft user in your party, you can get Hummingbird Ditty to get yourself even faster cast speed to help out with a few of these other things. As an example, Skewer lasts 2.5 seconds, and the cast time on, lasts 2.5 seconds, and the cast time on Arc Lightning is 2.4 seconds. So there's a good chance that a lot of targets will be out of the Skewer duration before you even get to inflict the Arc Lightning. So this combo may not always work, but either way, the AoE crowd control is quite powerful. So a nice little suite of interesting abilities. Like I said, I was able to take this out to Hassel and had a good amount of fun with it. I want to continue to play this build at some point, and likely, like I said, once the level cap gets raised, I want to revisit this and grab Teleportation Discipline and kind of switch it over to more of an Auramancy-focused support caster that can do damage and also heal. So that's it, all I had to say for the Boneweaver. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.